One of the biggest challenges that product engineering teams have is that they have trouble scaling threat modeling and security design reviews. Now, this is even more important in the age of vibe coding simply because you're producing 10x to sometimes 100x the amount of code that you had previously produced. At the same time, you are not really sure of the kind of architecture decisions, the security design decisions that are being taken. Let me actually cut to the chase. They are not actually being reviewed from an architecture standpoint or a security review standpoint. None of that is happening in your vibe coded IDE. So, this is where you are really having a massive blind spot simply because you have a ton of code being delivered. And even if that happens to be secure code, because you might put in some MCPs and stuff like that, secure code doesn't mean a secure app because the application may not be, the architecture may not be validated from a security perspective. The AI IDE will not take security design into account while building the features itself. This is where we've introduced something that we believe is going to be a game changer in this space, which we call Vibe Review. Now, Vibe Review basically integrates with your IDEs, and what it does is that it is able to analyze whatever prompt the user puts in from a threat modeling standpoint, does a quick threat model, builds that into your application or that feature that you're developing, and then pushes all of that telemetry back to SecurityReview.ai. All the while pulling in data from SecurityReview.ai, which contains details about the architecture decisions, the kind of security telemetry that already exists within SecurityReview.ai, so that it actually builds things that are consistent with the security design of the application and not random stuff that may be insecure or may be completely running counter to the existing security decisions of the application. Vibe Review is something that I'm going to quickly demonstrate, and you're going to see how easy it is to plug into any developer's workflows without them even realizing it's there. Let me quickly demonstrate Vibe Review and how it works so powerfully for your developers and how you can scale it amongst hundreds or even thousands of developers if you need to. So we have a project here which is called Maple's payment system. Now, this is a very important project from a payment standpoint. So whoever is the company building this obviously is concerned about security because it's a payment-based project. Now, the project has already gone through some basic reviews, and the project's information related to the profile of the project, all of that is already stored. So this is gathered by Security Review already. A lot of the technology decisions, the description, the different types of technology elements, the architecture notes, things like that are already there in the system. Now, this is going to be something that the developer's AI IDE will automatically hook into. So now I want to, let's say I'm a developer, I am in my cursor IDE and I want to build out something new with a simple prompt. So I want to say that I want to add a list payments screen and API where I can, where specific users can list payments for the with date filters. So that's it. I'm not adding, as you can see, this is a very simple prompt. I'm not adding any security element here. I'm not asked it to add any security elements here. I'm just going to add this basic functionality prompt. Now let's actually start building this. Now, what happens as soon as I start building this is that the the IDE starts to build up, starts to use security reviews capability to first initiate a threat model. So this is the first activity that happens. It starts a subagent, which is a threat modeling subagent. Now, based on the existing architecture, it pulls the information from the code base as well as from the security review existing architecture data set that is there, and it could be a larger profile or a smaller profile. It pulls all that data and does a quick threat model against the system here. Once it does a threat model, it discovers that these are the things that we need to keep in mind in order to build this feature. And once it keeps in mind these things, it automatically includes those security activities within the IDE to build out that code securely from right from the outset. So it considers design and development all because it has already got this perspective of threat modeling, which has been done in as a first activity every time the user just puts in a prompt, if that prompt has some kind of a security impact, it will automatically do the threat model and it will generate a quick threat model, and that will be incorporated into the code. So you'll see it automatically has some kind of an understanding of the code base. It's implementing the feature, and as it implements the feature, it will consider security capabilities as part of that feature. Audit service for the complete context. It's going to take all of this stuff. So it says, okay, I'm going to analyze the code base. I'm going to perform a PONA SMS threat analysis before starting it. So it does a list payment. It does a threat analysis for that, and it's identifying that, hey, there are some IDORs, all of that stuff. It identifies the user roles. All of this, remember, is coming from here. It is coming from the user groups, the existing technology, the profile that is already stored in SecurityReview.ai. So that makes it a lot more powerful, which means that the security design decisions will not be inconsistent with what is already there. It doesn't give you some random security design decision. So it says, these are the issues with this particular capability that we're building. I'm going to look at IDAR BOLA risk, workload. I'm going to DB performance degradation, etc., date range, stuff like that. CARS TLS, this sort of stuff, role-based data scoping. No new secrets are being added, so it's not applicable. Monitoring, these are the issues that we're going to focus on. And supply chain, no new dependencies. So you'll see that it quickly does an analysis of this, which is using a very effective full stack threat modeling approach, and then builds out the feature with that threat modeling approach kept in mind, which means that you are shipping code securely right from the get-go, because you are considering security architecture at the start and then building something with that security architecture in mind. That makes it really powerful. And once this is done, we'll see very shortly, once this feature is implemented, it pushes these security decisions to our continuous threat models, where each of these decisions have been logged. So this also gives you centralized. One of the big challenges with a lot of teams is that you might be doing something inside the IDE, but you don't get any centralized decisions or centralized information about what decisions have been made from a security standpoint. This gives you that as well. Once the feature is implemented, it pushes all of these security decisions into this platform, and you essentially have details about what happened, what were the practices implemented, what are the security issues that were identified, what were mitigated, what was actually done. And in many cases, you also have code snippets where it shows you what are the different code snippets that were introduced to make this more secure, right? So you'll see that in this case, you'll see this was a 5 code snippets. It tells you that these were the issues identified and these were mitigated, and these are the actual code snippets that were introduced to make sure that things were secure. So you actually get not only telemetry at the developer level, which gives them the ability to scale threat modeling, you also get all of that information flowing into the platform, which makes it a lot more complete, a lot more effective from a security standpoint. So now the feature has been built, and you'll see that the aside from the features being built, you also get a changes summary, and the features threat model, the quick threat model that was run for this particular prompt and feature, was shipped to SecurityReview.ai to enhance the profile as well, and also give you specific central telemetry as to what's happening with the state of the security of the features being developed. So you'll see that the changes summary is right here for the developers to see, and you'll see that there is already some sensitive security related aspects that have been dealt with because of the threat model. So you'll see data range validation, sensitive field masking, audit trail, things like that. Also, it found an SQL injection or a insecure SQL statement, and it fixed that. And it also gave you this, also gave the developer the security mitigations applied. So it started with the security design of that prompt and feature and ended with actually implementing that based on the existing architectural patterns here. Now, when you go to the continuous threat models, you will see that the sync has happened here. New event has been created. And inside this new event, you will see that our latest capability has been captured, pushed to the central system, which is SecurityReview.ai. Threats mitigated, best practices, code snippets. You'll see that this unauthorized IDAR BOLA issues, broken object level access control issues have been dealt with, which is the high severity one. Resource exhaustion has been dealt with, sensitive data exposure, insufficient audit trail, and it also tells you how it did it, right? So you'll see that how it was able to actually implement this thing based off of the existing practices that were done. That's the cool thing about Vibe Review. You are able to give your developers autonomy. They're able to do things within the IDE itself, which is a completely integrated aspect of the workflow, which could be any IDE, Cloud Code Cursor, what have you. And at the same time, you're still getting the benefit of central telemetry because all of this is getting reported to the platform. And when somebody wants to do a review of what's happening and whether there is continuous analysis of security being done, this is going into that queue as well. So you have both sides of the fence. You get the best of both worlds with Vibe Review. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video.